English translation for One Piece chapter 1178 is out, so let's go over it from the beginning. The title of the chapter is A Fading Nightmare. As we guys know from the spoiler, bro, this chapter is insane. We actually get Luffy and Loki versus Imu, and it doesn't last long, but the setup is crazy by the end of this chapter, and you'll see, bro. You guys know, like, what Imu ends the chapter with. Imu says that Mu is living the Holy Land, so yeah. I'm gonna talk about the chapter from the beginning to the end. So in the cover story or cover request, we see a kid is being chased by a bull. So yeah, man, Oda might be hinting that kid might be coming into play soon in the story. I hope he comes back, because as we know, the last time we saw kid, he got one-shotted by Shanks near Elbaph. So yeah, there's a chance kid might come into play later in the arc during Elbaph, and this is a sign for it. And anyways, the chapter starts off where we see that Luffy is coming. Luffy has like Usopp and Brook. Luffy takes Usopp and Brook from the place where they were lying unconscious near Gonko Imu, and Luffy like brings them to safety where Sanji's group are, Sanji, Nami, and Jinbe and Frankie, and leaves them there. And Luffy is like ready to go back and join Loki for the fight against Imu. And this is insane, bro. Love how Luffy is like prioritizing his crewmates. Like Luffy might have been like really full of revenge, like to get back at Imu. But Luffy knows that he has to like keep Usopp and Brooks safe first, so he takes both of them and brings them to Sanji and Brooks, Sanji, Nami, Frankie, and Jinbe, so that they can be safe and Luffy can like go into the fight knowing that they're gonna be fine. So this is great to see. And Frankie asks Luffy in this moment that need a backup, bro. Frankie thinks he's on the team with who can fight Imu, bro. Frankie has been talking really big in this arc, bro. Like in this chapter as well, he says some crazy stuff, bro. I know you guys are strong, but I think the Straw Hats are being a little too overconfident, like. So let's see, we'll see about that. And even Sanji asks Luffy, like, what is going on? And Luffy says Loki is a real wild card, so it's better that you guys like stay away from this place for a while. Like Luffy is like literally like telling his crewmates to like stay away from this area so that like they don't get like caught up in their fight between Luffy, Loki, and Imu. So yeah, man, Luffy kind of is saying that his crewmates are not that on that level to like deal with this threat, so this is crazy. And Sanji says like, look who's talking, like as if Luffy is not the one who's gonna be causing all the chaos, so this is great to see. Like Luffy is like really like very mature in this chapter, like this is great to see. Like good sign to see for Luffy fans who are hating Gear 5. Anyways, we cut away to the fight where we see that Loki has already engaged with Imu/Gonko, and Loki is about to blast Imu with a Niflheim, and Imu is like blabbering. Yeah, Imu is just yapping to themselves about how they heard a rumor, how the world government heard a rumor about a massive giant ship that was like targeting the world government ship specifically. And there was a giant sighting of a rumor going around. There was a giant sighting of a flying creature in the sky, and Loki, bro, he's just charging up his attacks, and Imu is like over farming and just yapping, and Loki blasts the attack, and we see that Imu later dodges the attack. And as we see at the same moment, Luffy is like coming back to join Loki in the fight, and Luffy's like saying, hey, leave some for me, like don't end her all at once, like I want to get back at her as well. So yeah, man, Luffy is like Luffy, that. And as we see like Gonko/Imu, like I don't know, man, I'm just gonna say this is Imu, bro, for like easier recognition. Imu/Gonko like dodges the attack, mind you, bro. This is crazy. Like Imu, as we remember in God Valley, Imu took attacks from Roger, Rocks, Garp, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, and they didn't dodge their attacks, bro. Like, but Loki's like Boro blast attack. Imu is like dodging the attack, and like Loki is like looking for Imu. Like, where is she? Like, she's too small. Like, Loki is unable to like spot her, and Loki is wondering if she got away. So yeah, we are seeing the weakness of Loki in this form. Like he might be the most like strongest creature in the world and in the verse, but when he's up against someone small like Imu/Gonko, regular human size, it is difficult for him to like spot them. So yeah, it's kind of a weakness in a way, like, and he has to like transform back to his like giant form to like get into a good combat position against the opponents if his opponents are small, And we see that Luffy is about to attack Gonko slash Emu, and Luffy says, "There you are. You'll pay for what you did." Luffy is like right in front of Emu slash Gonko, but at that moment, black shadow comes out of like Gonko's belly, and Gonko, I don't know, I feel like she went unconscious, and we see that Emu like takes the form of the exact same black shape when they were in God Valley, and they were when Saturn on when they like took over Saturn's body in God Valley, like, and they were on top of like Saturn's spider form. Here in exactly where we see that Emu like comes out of Gonko's body, and Emu like takes the shape of black form, and there is like tentacles as well, the same tentacles we saw in God Valley, which Emu used to dominate reverse rocks. And Emu says in that moment that if only thou were erased from the world, just as Roxas before die. So yeah, man. And Loki here is like, did she just say rocks? And bro, this is insane. And in that moment, Emu like says, named attack, demonic covenant, and thou shalt cast a portion of thy lifespan and receive unprecedented strength. And in exchange for this blessing, thou shalt loathe each other. Tommy Reversey. And in that moment, Emu pierces Luffy and Loki with those tentacles, and Emu says Domireverse. This is insane, guys. And in the next panel, we finally get the answer if Domireverse works on Luffy and Loki. And the answer is no, bro. As we many of us expected, the Domireverse did nothing, had no effect on Luffy and Loki. And Luffy like kicks Emu's tentacles away, and Loki like jumps them. And Luffy says that what's the big idea? This doesn't even hurt. Like, and Loki says, "What a pain! Did you just say rocks?" So yeah, Loki is great. It's peak writing, bro. Like, oh, Loki doesn't know that Emu was the one behind like Rox's demise. Like, Emu had a big hand, you know. So yeah, Loki has a big vendetta against Emu, like more than Luffy, bro. Like, this is insane. And as we see, Emu, just as Emu says, as expected, these two are truly. And Luffy like charges up his Gum Gum attacks, and Emu, we cut away, and he cuts away what Emu was saying, you know. Bro, like, this is insane. Like, Oda is still like gatekeeping the lore about like Joy Boy, you know. Like, this is something related to like Joy Boy and Luffy's Nika fruit, so Oda is still like keeping those in his pockets for later down the line. And bro, like, this is insane. Like, Luffy is finally throwing hands with Emu. Like, can you imagine, boys? This is crazy. And we see that Luffy charges up with attacks, and Loki says that she is too puny to fight like this. Like, Loki is like struggling with Emu slash Gunko's size, you know. Like, it's too small for him to like locate and like register his attacks on her, you know, to land her attacks. And Luffy like charges up his fist with haki, armament haki, and Emu is like watching Luffy, and Luffy uses booming dawn Gatling and like puts holes in like Emu's body, just like Luffy did against Saturn in Egghead. You know, this is crazy. Like, Luffy running the gauntlet against Emu, and Loki in that moment, like, Loki deforms back to his giant form, and he uses Ragnar, and Ragnar like also transforms into the hammer form, and Loki like uses Ragnar and says to Luffy to move out of the way, Luffy. And Loki charges up his hammer, and lands a Nilfheim attack, a freezing attack on Emu and Gonko. And Luffy is like surprised. Is that your finishing move? And in that moment, we see that both Emu and Gonko are like frozen in an ice cube, and like Luffy and runs out of Gear 5 and back to his old form, bro. We have something to talk about Luffy at the end of the chapter, and this is crazy. Like, Luffy is run out of Gear 5, and he has lost all his stamina, and he falls to the ground. And as we see, the battle is over, as Gonko and Emu are like trapped in the ice cube, and Loki says, "You have no idea what you are doing. This way much quicker. Besides, I was way too big for way too long." Huff huff. So yeah, that Loki's dragon form, like, it takes a huge toll on him. So yeah, it's we see that Loki might be busted, but he has his limitations. So it's great to see those, you know. He is still like nerfed. He's already very injured, you know. So, and on top of that, that dragon form takes a massive toll on his body. So yeah, Loki and Luffy are both kind of exhausted at this moment, and Emu and Gonko are trapped. This is like the end of their battle, and then we cut away to the other parts and other stuff in Elbaph, like what is going on all around Elbaph. And we see that everyone is like trying to like stop the fires, and we see Elbaph fishing village. They're all trying to put out fires. They're telling that that boy Loki indeed was innocent, but he did help us, but he's also like causing collateral damage too much, and he's like his breaths are even causing fires, which is in a kind of way like still causing more problems for the giants. So yeah, in a way, like Loki is like a two-sided thorn, like this is insane. And we then cut away to Hunting Village, where we see that they're also like talking about how they misjudged Loki, but he is still a pain in their ass, And we see like Nami is using Zeus to like pour rain to stop the fires or around Elbaph, and Jinbei uses a sea cloud shoulder to stop the fires as well. And we see like Lilith is saying even the Odysseys have limits, And we then cut away to West Village, where we see Zoro and the giants dealing with the Domiriverse giants, and we see that some of the Domiriverse giants that we saw in the previous chapter, where Zoro was cutting them down, and the Dory and Broggy, Hajruddin and Stanson, which they cut down, like some of them they turned back to their normal human form. So yeah, that plan indeed works. So this is great to see. Like the Domiriverse can be turned off by reverse. The effects of Domiriverse can be reversed, and you can be turned back to normal if the victim is like killed during their Domiriverse form. So this is like great to know. Like you don't necessarily have to have Conqueror's Haki to like counter Domiriverse. This is cool to see, and we see that even though Zoro and the other giants like took care of most of the giant Domiriverse giants, we still see that some of them are still Domiriverse, and they're still regenerating. And at that moment we see like Chopper joining Zoro's group in West Village and in his monster point. And just as Zoro is about to like cut down the remaining Domiriverse giants, Chopper like one taps all of them, and the Domiriverse giants, like the devil forms like come out of their body, the devil shadowy form, and they flip back into the ground, and they come back up to their normal regular form. And everyone is shocked, like what did Chopper do? Like Zoro is even shocked, like Chopper, what are you doing here? Like what did you do like so easily? Like we have been like going extreme deep with these Domiriverse giants, cutting them down, but they're still regenerating, but you just touch them and they're like turning back normal. And Chopper says, no idea, it seems like I can undo their demonification just by hitting them. Bro, like what is going on with Chopper? Like are those forest god theories actually real, Oda? Bro, like this might be one of the greatest theory in the One Piece community ever, bro. Like Chopper forest god theory, like what is Oda cooking with Chopper? And Zoro is like wondering, maybe it's just cause you're an amazing doctor. Zoro, like as simple as it can be. And Chopper says, hey, don't you dare think that kind of praise makes me happy, cause it doesn't, you jerk. Chopper, like he can't take a praise, as we know. Like, and we see Dory and Broggy saying, nah, that's got to be it, you're amazing, Gababa. And Hajruddin is wondering like what's going on with the other parts, and what's the other up to, like how the others are doing. And we see the other parts of Elbaph, where we see that there is like no sign of enemy, but the only problem right now is the extreme amount of like fire like broke out all throughout Elbaph, and then to like put away the fires. So like most of the problems they have all been dealt with, and everyone is down. Like Somers, Killingham, Gonko Gonko/Imu, like everyone has been taken care of. It's just the fires now. So the situation in Elbaph seems like pretty normal, and went back to normal, and everything seems to be under control. And we see that we then cut away to the Owl Library, where Saul and Robin have made their way there, and we see that they are left shocked by seeing that all of the bookshelves are empty, and Biblo the owl is also not there, and Saul is wondering like where they could be. And Robin asks like, you think he took the books away? And bro, like I have a theory here. Like I feel like Biblo took the books and went to the heaven realm. I don't know, this could be peak, bro. This could be a reason why we go to the heaven realm, and we have the heaven realm like lore reveal, and have separate heaven realm arc in Elbaph. That would be, I'm super hyped for that. And we see that Robin is like wondering like where could Biblo be. So yeah, that could be the moment where we go to the heaven realm. So yeah, boys. And we then cut away to Sanji's group, where Sanji, Frankie, and Jinbei, they're like still like taking care of like Killingham's body, like dealing with Sanji is like putting his Sanji is like standing on one Killingham's like torso, and Frankie is like holding Killingham's head, bro. This is hilarious. The way they are treating the gods nice, and they're talking very big here, bro. They're Sanji says, things are pretty wrapped up pretty quickly. Once we went to the offensive, Frankie says, well, it ain't like this was a full-on war against the whole organization, you know? Even if these guys are Knights of the Holy Land, there were only three of them. Yeah, it's insane how thoroughly they managed to devastate somewhere as massive as Elbaph. And killing him is like at that moment wondering, bro. This is pathetic to see killing him, like killing him's head, bro. This is so funny, like killing him is wondering, like what happened to the Great One, bro? Like they're all, and killing him is sweating, bro. Like I hope, bro. I hope the Holy Knights start turn back up and they're holding back and they have some sort of second awakening or Emu boost them up, you know, like this is insane. But end of this chapter, it gives me hope like something is about to happen, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about it at the end of the chapter. And we then cut away to the outskirts of Elbaf, where we see that where Luffy and Loki like destroyed Somers, and we see like Somers' body parts are all over the place, and they're all like slowly coming back into place, regenerating, and we see Somers' heart. The leakers and the brief summary spoilers, the leakers say that the Somers' heart looks mechanical, so I don't know about that. The drawing, the art, it doesn't look, you know, like I can't like be for sure like it's a mechanical heart or not, but yeah, we see that Somers' body is coming back together, and he connects his heads, and he's slowly getting like he's gonna be back up during the next chapter, you know. So watch out for that. And we cut away to Luffy's group again, and we see that Luffy is in his old man form, and he is exhausted, like he is out of energy. And Luffy says, Loki, I'm hungry. And Loki says, go back to the village if you are hungry. It ain't like I carry food on me. But what's with that weird look anyway? And Luffy say, Arctus, Ragnar, Squirrel, I'm hungry. This is hilarious to see. Like Luffy, bro, Luffy is like out, bro. Like it's basically gear 5 minutes, bro. Like he was in gear. I think this gear 5 thing with Luffy is a gear 5 gimmick is getting really like bad, you know, like always like doing too much nerfing on Luffy, or maybe it's some sort of plot reason why Oda is like nerfing Luffy so much. But this is crazy to see how Luffy like is barely able to like use gear 5 for a short burst, you know, like he cannot be in gear 5 for a long time. But this is like worrying signs, you know. And as we see Luffy and Loki are having their conversation, they're like chilling in this moment, you know. The battle is over and everything seems to be fine, you know. Like yeah, others or everyone around Elbaf are taking care of the fires and all the remaining threats. And we see at that moment they're Luffy and Loki, they're sitting right beside the ice cube where Imu and Gonko are trapped. And we see that Imu's shadowy form, which was separate from Gonko's body, it disappears suddenly from the ice cube. And we then cut away to the holy land of Marijoa, where we see like the Pangea castle from a far zoom out place. And this time we see that there are destroyed buildings around the Holy Land. So bro, like this is insane. Like in the last glimpse from of the Holy Land, we saw that the Holy Land didn't seem under attack and the buildings were still intact and everything seemed fine. But from this angle of the Holy Land, or from the other part of it, we see that the Holy Land was indeed destroyed and there was some sort of battle that took place. So guys, what is actually happening in the Holy Land? But this is crazy to see. And we then cut away to the Pangea Castle flower room, where we see Imu calls the elders, and the elders also say, yes, great Imu. Imu then declares to the elders, the Holy Land will be without move for a short while. End of the chapter, no break next week. Bro, like what does this mean? Like is Imu heading to Elbaf like personally to deal with Luffy and Loki? This is crazy, guys. Like oh my goodness. So yeah, guys, that's the end of the chapter, and this sets up a huge confrontation, bro. Like where is Imu heading to? Like what could be it, bro? Like at this moment, the Elbaf arc, it seems to be this is the end, guys. Like the Holy Knights, even if they get back up, bro, what are they gonna do? There are only two Holy Knights in Elbaf, and they're getting like hype tooled and thrashed around all over the place by everyone. So I don't know how long they can like how long it's gonna go on with the Holy Knights there with only two of them. But if Imu is pulling up to Elbaf while Luffy and Loki are both exhausted fighting the fake or 1% of Imu, well, we might be genuinely cooked, bro. Elbaf might be cooked. So yeah, man, this is super hype. And this Imu's like final page of the chapter, where we see Imu's closed up face, we see a detail that might be actually wearing a veil, you know, like Imu is like covering their face, and Bro, like I have a theory. I think we might be getting Imu's face reveal in the next few chapters if Imu pulls up in Elbaph in person to fight Luffy and Loki. Bro, like just imagine, bro. It looks like Imu is actually wearing something to cover their face. If you like look at this last panel of Imu saying the Holy Land will be without move for a short while. Bro, I used to think that Imu couldn't leave the Holy Land, but for some reason, Imu might be like locked up in the Holy Land because of some like it's something that Joy Boy did or some sort of thing happened in the Void Century that Imu was forced to like compromise and stay in the one room in the Holy Land in Flower Room, you know. But no, it seems like Imu can actually leave the Holy Land, and they're about to like finally take action directly. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think? Like, who attacked the Holy Land, and did the Dragon and Revolutionary finally make their move, or is it like someone like Blackbeard is also attacking the Holy Land, or even Shanks? Some people are saying, bro, something crazy is going down in Holy Land, and or I saw some people even saying that it might be just be some writings among the Celestial Dragons. As we know, the Celestial Dragons were like mad that they were having their food shortage. So yeah, they might be fighting among themselves. And but why would like they call back Shamrock all the way back to the Holy Land for like that, where we have the Elders and Emu and the other Holy Knights as well. So this is crazy to see. For sure, someone like heavy hitters attack the Holy Land, like Blackbeard or Revolutionary Army or Shanks, you know. So watch out for that. I hope Oda doesn't off-screen it, but it seems the fight is over because Emu and the Gorosei are like chilling in their rooms. If Dragon and Blackbeard were running amok in the Holy Land, I don't think Emu and the Elders will be sitting in their rooms. So yeah, this is... Don't tell me, bro, like Shamrock packed up like Dragon or Blackbeard off-screen, bro. Like this would be the most craziest plot twist. Bro, like, I'm gonna throw out an idea. I feel like Emu is going to pull up in Elbaph with all the Holy Knights, and bro, like the Straw Hats are suffering a defeat, bro. Like Oda has to make Emu win in Elbaph no matter what, because at the end of this chapter, by the end of this chapter, it is not looking for Emu final villain agenda, you know, like Emu is not looking that good. I know Emu didn't actually lose in Elbaph, like in Gunka's body. It's not actually them. They're like fighting through Gunka's body. You can just call it, maybe it's just Emu's 10% power or even 1%. So yeah, Emu didn't actually lose, but Emu did look really bad, you know, like taking an L. Like it's kind of an L from that part, you know. So yeah, Luffy and Loki, bro. If Emu pulls up, I think they're cooked. But the real Emu pulls up, because they're both of them seem to be exhausted as hell. And yeah, man, Sanji and Frankie, the way they're talking, like Oda is like really shaping this arc, where like the Straw Hats get a reality check. You know, the Frankie and Sanji, they're talking way big, bro. All the signs hint that when Frankie says, well, it ain't like this was a full-on war against your whole organization, you know. Bro, it might be a foreshadowing that all of the Holy Knights will come to Elbaph eventually. And bro, things might go really crazy from here on out. So watch out for that. We might get Emu pulling up in Elbaph next chapter. And maybe the phase 3 will even. And it's the April Fools, bro. So the spoilers are gonna be insane for that chapter. Boys, I cannot breathe. This is what a time to be a One Piece fan, boys. Like, this is insanity, man. That's it for the video, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.